This is a practice commentary thing for no pause storage. I already did one back in, like, I don't even know, like early 2023 or something, and I got a 102, which is quite nice. But I want to do it again. I haven't really practiced today, and I'm out of breath because I've been doing the tutorial. But I still wanted to do this. So yeah, let's basically just get into it right now. So, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome.
So firstly, the game has, like, these FMV cutscenes. You can hold a button to just skip them the first frame possible. The game doesn't let you skip them until they've been viewed for 2 seconds. Then we're just gonna be doing a ledge grab skip. It's a ceiling swim. I don't really have time to explain those right now. Then we come up to the first actual trick, which is slide skip. So we go in the corner here of the rock, build up speed. And then we can skip this section. That was another ceiling swim. Here we are going to abuse coyote frames, because the game has 30 coyote frames, so half a second until the game processes, like, that you're off the ledge. And in that time, we can extend our distance with a spin. Finally, here is a token animation skip. There will be many of those throughout the run. So token generally, well, every token animation lasts like 5 to 6 seconds. A lot of them you can skip, and some of them you can get that full time save and just skip the entire thing, and other times you're only saving a little bit of time or you're saving even more time, but on average it's like 5 to 6 seconds. You have a 2-frame window to skip a token, so you walk into it generally and press start, and within a 2-frame window you can skip the animation if you warp away. The no cheese one specifically is a 1-frame, and there will be a couple more 1-frame ones later in the run, but usually it's a 2-frame. However, I was able to generate lag to make it a lot easier. But for now, I should go over Creek. You are not meant to do this objective right now, you're meant to do it significantly later in the game. But I was able to abuse coyote frames again, and damage boost up to the buttons to hit them with Patrick's spin when I'm supposed to use SpongeBob's guitar. And I did another lag generation, it's known as buffering. That time I jumped on top of the token, because for generating lag that can be good if necessary. So you basically open the upgrade menu, and then quickly close it, and then open the stop menu. And there is a little bit of a rhythm to it. You don't do the inputs, like, as soon as possible, but you do them pretty quickly. And it just generates a bunch of lag. So you can, like, fish out that 2-frame window, essentially. And I just did it again. It is easiest with tokens that you just naturally fall on top of, like trampoline tokens, for example. And we're just warping back to the beginning because we're gonna skip a massive section of this level. So we're jumping up here. Gonna do another ceiling swim. I'll explain what those are now. And then we can just skip the rest of the level just like that. So ceiling swimming is when more than half of your head hits the ceiling, and the game thinks that you're in a grounded state. Because it thinks you're in a grounded state, it just allows you to basically regain your double jump, because you're only supposed to be able to double jump. But we were able to double jump into another double jump, essentially. Now, on to sandwich driving. There are many sliding and driving levels in the run, and this is the tutorial driving level. There is not much going on for a while, but we will be doing a trick. This will be a good time to mention, like, version differences and stuff, so... I'm playing on the North American original Xbox version because that is the fastest for nearly every category. Its loading times are good, and it has a fast paddy wagon. Only Xbox can actually run this category. GameCube and PS2 cannot do it. Xbox 360 can via backwards compatibility, but Xbox 360 can't really do the lag generation stuff, or at least not nearly as well. It's not nearly as strong, and you like, I forgot what I was saying, bruh. I can't do that in a commentary run, can I? Yeah, oh yeah, and also the driving speeds on Xbox 360 are slower, so even though it actually has faster loads overall, the OG version is actually the fastest. And we're gonna do a trick right now called Fast Sandwich Out of Bounds. It's very difficult. Okay, so I got the really, really good version of the trick that I hardly ever see. That is ultimate sandwich out of bounds. So I was supposed to nitro on the dirt pile, land on top of the bulldozer, and then use the remaining speed from the nitro to get out of bounds. But what happened instead is that I bounced off the side of the dirt and then the side of the bulldozer, which is even faster. That is actually, like, ideal, it's just that you never really see it. So driving levels have checkpoint triggers, invisible checkpoint triggers, and you need to go through all of them in order, or else the finish line trigger right here will not spawn. So I basically went out of bounds, grabbed the trigger out of bounds because it partially sticks out of bounds, and then finished navigating back inbounds. Really, words can't do it justice just how difficult it actually is. There's a lot of invisible walls, and you can get through, like you swear you're, like, going left, but the game, it, like, pushes you right because of how you nitro on the dirt pile. I'll explain some other stuff later about the driving levels, but for now we're in the next platforming level, 3K, 3,000 miles to Shell City, and immediately we unlock the bash move because we have 5 tokens. There are 68 Goofy Goober tokens throughout the run, but by the end of it we will have 43, but we need 5 Goofy Goober tokens for the bash move. As you can see here, you receive knockback when getting damaged, as long as you're not traveling too far, like off the ground, but generally you'll get knocked back. Because, you know, it's just general damage knockback. However, if you hold the Y button, like, during the damage animation, when it's done, it'll basically buffer the bash input, and you will be able to bash afterwards, and we use this quite a few times throughout the run. I just got the bungee warp just then, you get it by hitting the rocks, and now I'm about to do a trick known as Bounceless. So if you bash within a 4-frame window of that button, you know, pause and warp away, you'll just, because normally you have to see a cutscene there, but I was able to skip it. And now I'm gonna do the bungee challenge. There is an RNG time save here, but I'm not gonna do it because RNG time save. Actually, I'll go for it. Okay, I'm not gonna do the other one because it's a lot more risky, but bungee challenges are very simple. I got something known as infinite dives, where basically I was just able to dive more frequently than I'm supposed to be able to, but the other thing is that I died when ascending and falling on top of the token, which skipped the animation. However, there is an 18.5% chance that you just get a wrong animation, and that would normally be the end of the run, but here it just would have been a good amount of time loss. Here, I'm doing some out-of-bounds navigation. Goo has 2 damage layers in this game, and they forgot to put... Well, it has 2 layers in this game, and one of them is the damage layer, so I was able to go in the corner just then and, you know, slip out of bounds because they forgot to put the damage layer in the corner there. But yeah, I did some ceiling swimming like I was talking about earlier. I bash boosted a couple times, and then I ledge grabbed back in bounds. Okay, so I actually got... I didn't get bad RNG, like a death there would have worked, but instead I just did a normal death there to spawn back up here, and then we can do the SpongeBob challenge. We will be seeing 3 SpongeBob challenges throughout the run, and this is by far the easiest one. The SpongeBob in this game, obviously it came from Battle for Bikini Bottom if you played that game. That game came out a year before this one. The SpongeBob here works a bit differently. It's like a bit heavier, a little slower, not as like bouncy. And there are dedicated like SpongeBob challenges. Well, this is the first of a few pad challenges, we call them. Like, these are kind of like some of the missions in Super Mario Sunshine. But of course here we don't have Flood, we just have Sponge Ball for the time being. And I'm going to attempt to 2-frame the token. You can generate lag here, but generally not worth it. That definitely worked. More on token animation skips, if you're not generating lag for it, you know you got it if you get the 1 frame, which is the closest frame to the token, but if you're 1 frame further away, the visual and audio indication that you got it disappears, so you have to gamble, essentially. Just then, I was gambling that I got the token. But I knew I got it, I was incredibly close, but yeah, we're just doing something known as Arena Skip. I grabbed the floating block warp for this level, but I didn't actually enter it. That is on purpose. But yeah, just damage boosted, skipped a big section, but even if I didn't do that, there was another way to skip it slower. And here I'm just going to upgrade Patrick's cartwheel. It saves time to upgrade it here because it prevents a lag spike. Every time you upgrade a move, there is a very high chance, well, pretty much guaranteed that the game will lag spike afterwards, but I was able to prevent it. And now, I'm going to basically skip this entire level, almost. Okay, so a lot goes into that, but I was basically building up speed by hugging the left side, and I had to move up at the right time, I had to start jumping at the right time, like, there's a lot of steps to it that are difficult to actually, like, describe verbally, but... yeah, hugging the side, you know, building up speed, jumping at the right time, all that stuff. This game has jumps, like, dynamic jumping. So if you tap A, like, you'll get a very pathetic jump, and if you hold A, you'll get, like, a big jump there. You want to, and with a lot of tricks, you want good jump spacing. With that trick in particular, you especially want good jump spacing. And if you like the trick, then good, because we're gonna see it again in a few minutes. But anyway, now we got Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt. But of course, immediately we're gonna do a trick. So just give me a sec. Okay, so I just touched the trigger that basically spawns enemies at the end. Like, you saw enemies at the beginning. They are not the same enemies as these ones. But I was able to jump up the slide and touch a trigger to spawn that fight, so I can skip a big section of the level later on. Those jumps up the slide just then, they all had a 2-frame window. You have a 2-frame window when Patrick's legs touch the slide to jump again. And there are 2 different frames. There's like a frame that only gives you the single jump, and then there's a frame that gives you the double jump. Sometimes that can trip you up, but yeah, it's a 2-frame window. The level's in 60 FPS unless you're on GameCube, in which case it's 30, and the PAL version runs at 50 FPS or 25 on GameCube here. But this level is, like, the most linear one that we've seen so far, other than No Cheese. So it'll be smooth sailing for a bit, so I'll take this time to mention that in the driving levels, paddy wagons have... driving levels, the paddy wagon can abuse nitros. You can stack 10 of them at once, they're just like speed boosts, but of course we can use them for shortcuts and stuff you'll see a bit later in the run. Here we need to grab the disco token, but you can't just generate lag to... skip token animations. This also works in Battle for Bikini Bottom, but basically, when you take damage, when the animation ends, there is a 1-frame window in which you can basically regain your double jump. However, here in this game, we can generate lag to fish out that 1-frame window, again by pressing select twice and then pressing start. And then you'd have to press B and immediately have to press A as soon as the menu closes. But yeah, we were able to do that to skip the disco objective. Here is Lava Room skip, just gonna abuse the speed and distance that we got from the trampoline on the swinger to skip this massive section of the level. And we grabbed a task for free that we will do later. For now, we wanted to do the Sponge Bowl challenge. So we'll get there in a sec. Well, I'll enter it, like, sooner than it... because the pad was in the distance, but I did not need to enter the pad. I touched a trigger that unlocked the warp, essentially. I'm going to do a hard cycle here, known as Fast Corkscrew. If I miss it, I'll lose a lot of time, but it saves 9.5 seconds. I'll just be catching a much faster cycle here. And usually I make it early, but of course if I make like any minor mistake on the way, I might not be able to make it early. I might not be able to make it at all. And then right afterwards we need to do another token animation skip. So let's see if I get it. That was almost too early. And to boot, I got the token animation skip, so that was very good. Here, I'm doing the first floating block challenge. This is the one in 3K that I grabbed the warp for earlier. The reason I'm doing it later is so that I can do another token animation skip. I also got a little car wheel boost at the beginning. There is more that goes into it than I'm going to describe, but in short, if you hold the car wheel button, like, during the load, you'll basically buffer a little cartwheel, like, before the challenge even starts. But yeah, these are also kind of like, Sunshine missions, like those bonus ones, but... yeah, this is a pretty easy one. The other two, you know, they have more going on. But yeah, this is basically just the token animation skip waiting room. Like I said earlier, some token animation skips, you know, they usually only save like 5 to 6 seconds. Here, it saves more like 12. And the steamed early trick I did earlier saves like 30. Okay, and now we're gonna do Rub-a-Dub again, except it's harder this time because I can go for some one-frame jumps. Let's see if I get them.
Did Minnie bother to tell us if the train was still running around here?
Wow, that was very, very close. So just then when the level started, you start like on the track rather than in mid-air like you do in Rub-a-Dub 1. So I could have just, you know, died and then I would have been able to set up the trick easily. But instead, I went for one-frame jumps, and I got them. It is similar to what you saw in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, but those were 2-frame jumps, and this is a 1-frame jump, so I had a 1-frame window to regain my double jump when I jumped on the track. The visual cue is also worse because I can't use legs, I have to use a, you know, a bathtub. And now I'm warping back to Bubble Blowing Baby Hunts just to collect this token because I never collected it. We will be coming back to this level later, but it's just to grab one token. Now we have the second driving level, which is No Weenie Parking. In itself, it is quite a bit more interesting than the first one, but it lacks a trick. There is a trick that you could do, but because of how unbelievably high risk it is for very low reward, I will not be doing it. If there was even just like a really easy way to do it and have it look cool and it only loses like 2 seconds or something, I'd show it off for the sake of this, but yeah, there's nothing like that. So, anyway, I guess I'll take this time to say that, generally, like, this game is very loosely following the events of the actual SpongeBob movie. As you can imagine, they took creative liberties, and we will especially see that later on. Like, obviously, in the previous level that we were in just then, Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, like, the objective was to, like, find the keys to the paddy wagon. Here, the objective is to find 5 keys across the track. And this also has checkpoint trigger shenanigans, but in a different way. If we collect all 5 keys, then it'll unlock the gate. The problem is that one of the keys is only accessible after we've touched enough triggers, which then force us to complete 2 laps, so we need to do a little over 2 laps. I don't think I've failed to mention anything else so far, so... okay. Here we're gonna do a small time save called Conquer 2 Key, because it's like a joke about the person who founded like their emote prefix on Twitch, but anyway. Yeah, you can... because obviously, there's a key to the right of the tunnel, but it's literally just faster to go through the left tunnel and then, like, go back into the right tunnel just to grab the key. With nitros, I am using them, like, strategically, usually. Sometimes you have too many, but I'm generally using them strategically. You tend to lose speed after, like, tight turns, so you can nitro right afterwards. It's good to use as much of a nitro as you can on ground, and then maybe, like, right at the end of the nitro speed boost, you can, like, use it on a ramp. Sometimes you just don't have the opportunity to do that. But yeah, the ramp spawn that allows us to get the final key. And I'm going to warp back to the beginning of the level. This is where you would do backtracking if you did not do the slide jumps in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, but I did. And as you will see, the gate is open. You don't actually need to do 3 laps. Also, I'm gonna upgrade Smash here because, again, avoids a lag spike. The upgraded moves, we get them from manliness points. Haven't really, like, needed to mention them. Manliness points are important in the run because they let us upgrade moves, and most of the upgraded moves are very useful. Of course, not everything can be upgraded in the run this short, but a lot of stuff's gonna get upgraded, and, you know, matter of fact, I upgraded Slam. Upgraded Cartwheel just gives it a massive hitbox and makes it do more damage. And then upgraded Slam is going to be we need it almost, like, later in the run, but here it'll also do more damage to this Frogfish boss. Everybody remembers the Frogfish from the movie, right? But here, it's a pretty simple boss. Now we're in phase 2, where I'm just gonna slam the tongue. Then for the final 2 hits, the tongue, like, always spawns at the front. And that was really good. Fun fact, we have to wait here for a really long time because this level actually used to be a combat arena, and combat arenas have timers for, like, how long it takes until from when you beat the challenge to when you actually are allowed to collect the tokens. We just had to stay there for so long because we were waiting for a combat arena timer to end. So immediately in this level, we could do a trick, as you can see. This trick might look slow, but it actually saves 9 seconds, is known as Skydive. Once again, we spawn in mid-air. So I was able to time it. You can just pause it, you can just spam start to make it easier. But I did it the cool way, which is timing it. Partway through the fade, you can double jump backwards. You do need good jump spacing and dynamic jumping for it, though. And we're just navigating out of bounds. There's a fat Hans trigger to the right of me. I guess Hans triggers, if you get grabbed, you just get placed back to your previous, like, checkpoint, essentially. So I'm avoiding those, but yeah, we're just dropping down now. Again, this may seem like a slow process, but it saves quite a bit of time. The only problem is that I haven't set a checkpoint because I've skipped so much of the level. So if I fail the next thing, I will lose well over a minute. Luckily, that next thing is pretty easy. I don't really need to worry about it. This level, you especially want to think about manlies, by the way. Manliness points. There are just so many to collect here, and we absolutely, like, need 3,000 for partway through the next level. But you should definitely, in this category, you should definitely have more than that at this point. Or, like, going into the next level. But yeah, that drop just then wasn't as hard as it looked. I was just avoiding Hans triggers. You don't even need to go right as early as I did. You can just hold left, like, almost the entire time if you want, when you're falling. But anyway, here's the next little trick. I mentioned coyote frames earlier. Completely ignore coyote frames here. You don't want a single coyote frame for this trick. We're basically just skipping, like, a long turn and then going through a tunnel again. Saves a decent amount of time, and it's pretty free. Recommended to everybody at home. Especially because, as we all know, the Macho Time Challenge for this level is evil. So maybe you can use some of these tricks to make it easier. Try it at home. But anyway, I'm going to purposely grab this last TNT before running into this one because it gives me a bigger combo. We are coming up to a very big trick in this level, and if I miss it, there are very big consequences. I will lose a ridiculous amount of time, and it will just not be cool. it won't be cool. This trick got found recently, and it just saves a ridiculous amount of time. It even adds a token to the run that we use to Did I do it again? Okay, good. Basically, we would have just done sandwich driving again. Like, it would have been the exact same thing and just do sandwich driving again. But with this trick, we can just avoid doing that. And I'm purposely taking a slow path here. There is a faster path, but we need to take a slower path to set our checkpoint. This is the closest checkpoint to the finish line. That is very, very important. Sliding levels don't have checkpoint triggers like invisible checkpoint triggers like driving levels do. But anyway, here's the trick. Okay, I guess that's fine. What I'm trying to do is touch the trigger that is supposed to basically end the objective. But in that time, because it takes a while to, you know, to process, I'm going to drown in the lava. But it is very precise, and the trick only got found recently. Okay, that should work, but I don't know without a shadow of a doubt until after this. So we'll see now. Okay, good. So we just did something pretty interesting. So I did collect a token. However, because I was in the lava, the game prioritized the drowning over sending me to the next level. We have bugged the game, and as far as Mindy's concerned, we've done the first level. The level's first objective. So now, when we slide to the finish line, she's going to assign us the time challenge. However, the game is still bugged because it isn't like properly assigning us tasks. So it spawns us at the last objective when it's meant to spawn us at the beginning of the level. And this saves a ridiculous amount of time, you know, especially in like 100%, it saves like 2.5 minutes. But in this category, it saves like at least 1:25. It depends on the player and like what strats are doing and stuff, but it saves at least 1:25. It's insane. Although, because I messed it up, it's saving a little under a minute. But yeah, we get the time challenge token just like that. And now we are entering probably the hardest level in the run, now that we're men. This level is brutal, and we need 20 tokens immediately for Bowl, which we have. We are going to get 5 of the 6 tokens here. So immediately I'm going to upgrade, because upgraded Bowl, not only do we literally need it for one of the biggest time saves in all of SpongeBob speedrunning, like we literally need it, but also it's just an incredible move in general. It saves time to upgrade in itself, but then also like the aura, the shockwave aura is so enormous. But yeah, I did a little skip at the beginning to prevent a popper from spawning. It wasn't a huge thing. Next, we're going to do cutscene skip. Normally, you bowl 2 buttons here and watch a cutscene, wait for the platform to drop and everything, but instead, we can just jump across. And now we are entering the monster's mouth, and this is where things get a bit tougher. May not seem like it, but it is quite hard to stay on cycle, and I'll be doing a couple things that are pretty difficult. I'm gonna bowl this eel from a distance. It takes a while to get going, so I'm just basically forcing it to stop sooner. But I'm also grabbing the bungee warp. Not doing it now, we're doing it later. And next up is one of the harder tricks on the run, Spew a Boost.
I'm not feeling like a game of catch right now.
Okay, so I partly got it. You're supposed to be able to then bash boost off of that green ball thing, but I had a bad angle. I still saved a bit of time with it, though. It's just incredibly, incredibly precise. The ledge grab was to prevent the enemy from starting his attack when I wasn't ready. And here, you need to bowl the lobster 3 times. And with upgraded bowls like Massive Aura, we can do that quite easily. You can't damage him, like, you can't damage him as soon as possible, though. He only registers damage every 2 seconds, and this reminds me. You saw that, because normally that cutscene for the lobster was supposed to teleport me, but ledge grabbing prioritized over getting warped. Which is also what I did in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt when I killed the enemies and it started the cutscene. But yeah, I just skipped that entire massive section just then pretty easily. With another ceiling swim, but you can just jump on the door at the back. Here's another hard trick, it's called Quick Chris. That is another token death, but unlike the one in 3K, it is not RNG. And there, that trick was Monster Skip. You bash boost to the eyelid, and then you bash boost off of that. Although I buffered a 1 frame because it's slightly faster to make it to the island. I mean, it literally makes it like a 6-second token. But anyway, here's Now the Woman floating block. Cherish it while it lasts. Okay, it's over. So I buffered a 1 frame damage boost off of the spike, and then I buffered the token. And now we are doing bungee, but I'm also doing another thing called bungee bowl. If I'm not careful, bowling just then will genuinely kill the run if I'm not careful. It saves a 1.5 seconds because it bowls a target that was, like, inconvenient, like, with the cycle. But genuinely now, if I mess up my routing in any real way, like, the run is dead. The game will crash. More on that later. Oh, that was close. But yeah, that's Now the Woman. That was actually pretty good. Sometimes the game just flashes white for no reason, you just kind of have to ignore that. Anyway, here's another very hard level, so we got a double whammy, Shell City Dead Ahead. And this is Patrick's final platforming level, technically. He does have a boss fight later, but like in terms of proper platforming levels, this is the last one. Although it's not the last time we will be seeing him in a platforming level. So immediately we're going to do Toilet Skip. Normally you have to throw fruit at a button. Which, by the way, you need 25 tokens for throw, and I barely have enough. But yeah, I was just able to get around some invisible walls, essentially, and I just jumped around that pressure plate section just then pretty easily. And now I'm going to do a trick known as TNT Circ. Can be a bit tricky, loses a lot of time for missing it. I'm going to use this TNT to damage boost across. So I picked it up, threw it against the wall, and then I damage boosted off of it. You don't have to buffer because you can get like slide frames instead of the 1 frame, but I was too close to the edge, so I had to... It was going to be a 1 frame, so I just decided to buffer it. There were other ways of doing Circ, but that's the fastest way. And here, this is known as SCDA Out of Bounds, because what else are we going to call it? I used the damage boost off of the fogger and stored the momentum on the swinger, which I then used to swing myself around and basically almost like slingshot up out of bounds. So I skipped a huge section of this level, but I need to backtrack temporarily because I need the sponge ball warp, which again the pad is over to the right, but the trigger for the warp is over here for some reason. That is vital. That is also a crucial component of that massive trick I was talking about earlier. But even outside of that, it is a fast token, so it's worth backtracking for regardless. And now we are going to enter the second area of this level. If you like the slide jumps from Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, then strap in, because we're going to do basically that again, except there's even more jumps. So I need to grab this. If I wasn't careful just then, I could have accidentally pressed R on the door and re-entered Area 1 and lost a bunch of time. But yeah, just give me a sec, please, because I gotta do some jumps. I said give me a sec, please, as if there's like an actual audience watching live, but anyway. Should probably stop talking. Okay, so that's... Okay, I got the jumps, but I missed the token animation skip. This one in itself only saves 3 seconds, but it is very ideal to get it. Because, it's for a cycle later in the level. We are going to skip a floating block warp again to buffer its token later in the run again. Although this one's harder and it doesn't save as much. You can't hear any music right now. That happens when a token animation skip would have worked, and then you just unpause the game. But because of lag shenanigans, I got a little screwed over, so... yeah. Just ignore the fact there's no... it'll come back in a second. You might have noticed I haven't upgraded the throw move. We're still gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it now. Because this is the only time we actually need it. So am I on cycle? No, I'm barely not on cycle, but that's okay. So I'm gonna lose a bit of time. So we're just throwing the foggers at the buttons. A lot of kids, myself included, when I was a kid, like, had nightmares about this section. It was awful, but yeah, we know how to cheese it. Normally, you have to go to the end of the trampoline section here and throw the fruit, but you can literally just throw it from here. You don't even need to charge an entire, like, throw. If you hold throw, then it'll, like, charge, and that's basically what upgraded throw is. You hold R, and it'll give the melon a big speed boost to make it do more damage. But you don't even need to charge it all the way for that. Anyway, here's Dennis. A lot happens in a very short amount of time. But yeah, we're using upgraded throw and hitting Dennis with it. Then I'm going to use the melon explosion to damage Dennis. Because, you know, it does more damage. And I'm going to do it again. And boss fight's over. I could have done a one-frame skip. And this is the other one-frame. This and the next Dennis boss fight, because we fight Dennis twice. If you press A to skip the cutscene and then press start a frame later, you can just get the token animation skip. It is very difficult though, and I did not get it. But yeah, that Dennis fight went by very quickly. Here though, I need to mention something else we gotta move on. There are ice blocks in this level that are supposed to slow you down. It is literally by design. The full intention was to slow you down quite a bit when you stand on them. From boot, there is something called ice physics glitch. And it basically just makes you go faster on ice blocks than you're supposed to. Not the block I'm on right now, but the block that I'm about to jump on, like these blocks. I'm getting more speed than I'm supposed to. There are ways to basically remove ice physics glitch, but of course we don't want to do that. But it's basically just getting hit by spit and standing on ice from when Patrick throws a freezy fruit. We are gonna do that later in the run, but ice physics glitch, like, literally only matters for this one objective. But yeah, I'm doing a pretty, like, fast advanced cycle right now, except it's a little slow and I just lost a bunch of time. Because I went barely too slow. That was awesome. I was actually digging this run. I was like, man, I might actually be able to 59, and now I can't 59. Anyway. Because that's what I wanted, even though I knew I was being greedy. That's what I wanted. I can't think of anything I've, like, not mentioned yet, really. Like, anything notable. The final time we need to upgrade is, like, basically, like, very close to the end of the run. And we need 7,000 manlies. That is, like, the most that we actually, like, need. And I almost have 7,000 already, partly because I lost time in Rock Slide and I was able to get more manlies. But yeah, we're gonna buffer the token again. And we're back to Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt one final time to do the Throwing Fruit token, which is basically just a big cycle. Just one big cycle. Not too crazy, but there's another token animation skip at the end of it. Because of course there is. There's a lot of them in this run. There are just some tokens that it's not fast for, or you literally just can't do it. And it seems like I'm on a good cycle. Yeah, okay. Again, nothing crazy, it's just movement and knowing what to do with the cycle. Okay, I got no lag, the game screwed me, so I got no lag, so I have to sit through the token animation. Then, I'm doing this level order on purpose. If I was not doing this, the game would crash, so... Not right now, but it would crash in the next level. So it is very important that I do this objective before the next level. This is SCDA Sponge Bowl. This is the final... Again, not only is it critical for this run, but it's fast anyway. And it is the final Sponge Bowl level that we will be seeing. There is one more, but it's not in this category, unfortunately, even though it's very cool. So this one, like, would be the hardest, but it's not because of Fast Corkscrew in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt. But yeah, there's some platforms. You gotta memorize the colors here. Red, yellow, blue. Always use red, yellow, blue. Don't trust anyone else when they say yellow, blue, red, or whatever, bro. Red, yellow, blue, gang for life.
Sponge gathers no barnacles.
And that was a 1 frame. You know you got the 1 frame if the token counter, like, actually increases when you open the menu, and you'll still hear the level's music, like, in the background. But anyway, here is the second to last driving level. This one is known as Sunday Driving. If this doesn't look like anything from the movie, yeah. Anyway, so the objective here is that we are meant to follow Goofy Goober as he shows us the, like, he basically guides us to the end of the level. But he is just an object. Well, yeah, he's basically just an object. And the way that the level actually works is that Goofy Goober will touch certain triggers, and when he touches those triggers, you have 5 seconds to also touch those triggers. If you do not touch them, he will fail you, and you have to restart the level again. So with that in mind, is there any way we can exploit that? Of course we can. This game was made in like 8 months after all, and it's a movie license game, so as you can imagine, we can do something about it. For now, we can't. There is, unfortunately, for the first like lap and a half, we can't do anything. And there is rubber banding with Goofy Goober, but it doesn't really matter for our purposes. But yeah, of course, we'll just see more nitros and stuff. You will see skips. Although, there is a skip I won't be doing, because if you fail it, you'll soft lock, so... And it only saves like 4 seconds, it's not like crazy. I will be doing the other one, though, because it's fairly easy and is cool. Okay, well, I meant to get the health, but unfortunately I did not. I think now would probably be a good time for a donation, just because, like... This is the longest sliding and driving level. It's the longest driving level in the game, it's not the longest sliding level. That would now go to Rock Slide. But yeah, I'm... Like, this path is slow, but I'm just forced to go this way. But in a minute, and by a minute I mean like 12 seconds or something, we will be able to... Basically, the triggers that I was talking about, the aforementioned triggers, loosen up the further you get into the level, right? Normally, you can't take the shortcut because, you know, there's a trigger there, but that's only for lap 1. So, I'm just able to go through that shortcut now, and then I can do a trick known as Spiral Skip. So I was able to nitro against the wall. Normally, you just get knockback, but I got like a weird bounce that, and then it's a bit feel-based, but I was able to like use the bounce, hold left a bit, and then I was able to skip the entire spiral. I can do it again next lap too. Actually, you know what, I'll go for Sunday Jump. Okay, so I missed it, but you can see what I was trying to do. There's a short, invisible wall above the fence, and I unfortunately didn't get enough height. That trick is very feel-based and very stupid, and it sucks. In 100%, you do it 7 times, ideally, but here, luckily, only have to attempt it once. I do not know where those yellow manliness points came from. We're just gonna have to ignore that. But yeah, nearly done with the end of the level now, but we're gonna take the shortcut again and do Spiral Skip one more time. In case you liked doing it once, you get to see it again. I need to be careful to not die to the gumballs here. And I did not die to the gumballs here. In case you're wondering, by the way, like, me being at 1 or 2 health does not slow the paddy wagon down or anything like that. Initially taking damage, like, loses a... you know, a handful of frames, but sometimes it's worth it because you can, like, cut a corner or whatever. But now we are on to the final sliding level. We will be seeing it twice, but the second time is completely different from the first time. But Google Eyes and Smelly Knickknacks, or GESK for short. This objective of the level is, like, mostly chill. we need to hit 3 faucets and then hit 4 targets to basically drop lamps. And this is also a good source of manliness points. But yeah, I already skipped the faucet because it's just faster to hit it a bit later. When I respawn, I'm going to respawn above triggers that play cutscenes. You have a small window of time to just jump over those cutscenes. You can either spam jump, or you can just, like, time it. I'll just time it. So there you go. I would have seen a cutscene just then, but luckily don't have to. And then I'm going to just do a small time save here by jumping to the lamp from that wire instead of the other one. And now we're up this section. As soon as you touch this red wire, no matter what from now on, whenever you die, you will always respawn at the same point every time, and that is important. We used to do a completely different route here, but years ago that changed. Which actually, not only is it faster, but it's also just, like, objectively easier because it removes a skip, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, we just need to hit the lamps, just gonna be doing it in the fastest order, and then doing another death abuse. So I would say there's not much to say here either. That paddy wagon just then, dude, I have 2 health again because I keep forgetting to damage myself on the TNT. Okay, so normally avoiding that paddy is important because it saves like 3 seconds to avoid it, but it has a very, very big hitbox. Like, that paddy wants you so bad. But instead, I will need to lose a little bit of time. So normally I would have died here, but instead I gotta die on the TNT. Another cutscene wants to play here, but again, you can just jump over it. And now we just make our way to the end of the level. It is a very, very simple path to the end now. So now would be a good time for a donation. Okay, well, pretend the donation's being read right now. Best possible time is 1 flat 16. Yeah, this is looking like a very comfortable, like 1 flat 4x or something, like, very easily. As long as I don't miss guest jumps. I always have to do that under the assumption that I don't miss guest jumps. And hopefully you like Dennis, because, yeah, we're gonna see him again. And not only that, we will be seeing him for actually for less time than before. We're gonna see him for even less time than before, and this fight is even easier than the other one. I'm purposely delaying my second ball shot here, it saves a second. If you hit him too quickly, he just, like, won't register damage. Yeah, just bowled him a bunch of times. Okay, well, I kind of choked there, but I tried to go for the 1 frame, unfortunately didn't get it. And now we are returning to Gask, but don't worry, the objective is completely different. It is very hard. I'm going to be doing a bunch of 1 frame jumps, not 2 frame jumps like in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt and Shell City Dead Ahead. These are big boy jumps, these are 1 frame jumps. And they save less time, it's brutal. But anyway, here we go. Excellent. So yeah, all those jumps just then were 1 frame jumps. If you do them, like, absolutely perfectly, it saves, like, 16 seconds or something. Otherwise, you would just go around, and this level would be pretty easy. In some categories, you actually do the jumps twice, which is pretty ridiculous. I panned the camera just then for lag reduction. Lag reduction barely comes into... I did it in No Cheese, and I did it in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt like once or twice, and I did it just now. I admittedly don't even know if that one actually saves time, like, panning the camera up. It looks like it does, but I'm actually not entirely sure. And yeah, that is the last of the sliding that you will see in this run. 105, very good. Normally, you would expect to see, like, a 121 here or something. Like, 121, I would say, is the standard. But yeah, we need to enter the next level with 36 tokens. You need 40 normally, but of course, skips. So, this level really likes making you do backtracking. We luckily haven't had to do much of it in this run. And the game especially wants you to backtrack here. It wants 40 tokens. And we only have 36. Whatever will we do? Well, we're supposed to guitar this button, but we can just not. Yeah, the part of that was a ceiling swim, but yeah, also just abusing a jump out of a bash. And I just did a bash boost just then, which stopped a Merv from spawning. We barely had to worry about them in Shell City Dead Ahead, but here, they are way worse because they have rockets. And the rockets can shoot these targets, and it would just make everything horrible. So I did a damage boost to avoid his trigger to stop him from spawning entirely. I do have 1 health, though, so I need to be careful. Yeah, that could be very difficult. I was abusing infinite dives again. Next, I'm going to go out of bounds. And then I'm going to go back inbounds. Yeah, that was fun. Getting back inbounds, getting out of bounds is incredibly easy. Getting back inbounds is the issue. It's a bit iffy. Like, it's consistent, but it's just kind of, like, feel-based. Anyway, here's the only time you're going to see Patrick throw a Freezy Fruit in this run. For some reason, like, half of the side objectives in this level, even though it's the final platforming level, half of the side objectives are just really easy, as you'll see in a moment. But yeah, for this one, I grabbed the combat warp, and now I'm gonna buffer this. And, normally we don't see combat arena challenges in this run, but... yeah. This is a bit of a joke objective. Normally there'd be loads of enemies to kill. Yeah, here, I think they just gave up. I think they gave up, and, yeah, we just had a jellyfish to fight. Thank goodness, though, because... could you imagine it? Like, if you know anything about the Now That We're Men combat arena, like, good thing they didn't make anything harder than that. Anyway, we're gonna go out of bounds, doing the easiest thing in the world and just ledge grabbing the wall. This allows us to skip such an enormous section of this level, it's not even funny, even though I just laughed. It, like... this level would be, even in a speedrunning sense, like, this level would literally be, like, 20 minutes long. Or, like, 18 minutes long or something, but instead we're making it more like 4 to 5 minutes long through all these skips. And I was able to do ceiling swimming out of bounds to then grab this token, so I was also able to do this faster than normal. Now, we are warping back to the beginning of this level to unlock Guitar. There is an extremely crucial step, though, that I'm about to do right now. Bowling there and pausing when it detonated was absolutely crucial to this run. It was 100% crucial, and I need to make sure now not to bowl for the rest of this level, which will not be difficult to avoid. There is a section where you would have to bowl, but yeah, you can imagine we don't need to do that. Here we're gonna do some wall jumping. I'm doing kind of risky wall jumps. But I'm going to do some lag clipping in a way that we haven't seen yet. Well, I've just been generating lag, but this time I'm going to do a lag clip. These are known as guitar glide clips, but this one in particular was known as sponge glide. That was very good. So a lot just happened then. SpongeBob enters a weird state. If you press guitar before he can enter wall jump state, if you press the button for guitar, the R trigger, so you press R, or you can generate lag and then press R, either way. But yeah, I pressed R, and then I generated lag, except I didn't need to press start, I just needed to press select twice, and then I went through the wall. But then, the wall jumps extend out of bounds, and I did some glitchy wall jumping, and then I did a front-facing lag clip. I just did basically the same thing again, but it was front-facing. And then I had to spin so that SpongeBob wouldn't be pushed to the right continuously, and that was a different lag clip just then. Called an up clip, where when SpongeBob's, like, beginning to descend after a ceiling swim, you're able to generate lag and then press R and A at the same time to push him above the ceiling. And I just did a bash boost across to skip that entire section. And finally we have Monumental Bash, where I was able to bash boost under the, well, into the enemy's mouth, and I was just able to guitar that 3 times. And now we have Knucklehead, and I'm going to skip this section, skip the token requirement. Normally you need 50 tokens here, right? But what if it didn't have to be 50? Warping to the Shell City Dead Ahead Sponge Bowl challenge just then was, again, absolutely crucial. And now, I have control of the paddy wagon. I'm able to inch it forward little by little. because I'm holding A and I'm closing the menu and it's pushing the paddy wagon forward a little bit because this game is incredibly jank. And as you'll see, I just skipped the token requirement. And then I need to reload the level because we've loaded multiple objectives at once and the game is incredibly screwed up. There is quite a bit I could explain, although some of it goes over my head. Basically, SpongeBob's upgraded bowl is insanely broken, and it basically is writing like garbage data to memory. It's like overwrite memory. Normally it doesn't matter because it writes the data to SpongeBob's model, but there are levels like the sliding and driving levels where SpongeBob's model is not like loaded into the level. And because it can't load to SpongeBob's model, it writes itself to just a random part of the level's memory. It writes, like, I don't know much about memory addresses, but it writes, like, 0s and 4s or something like that. I swear, it was, like, 0x4 or something, I don't remember. But you basically set a bowl storage in a level, and then warp to a level that SpongeBob's model is not assigned to, and it can cause corruption. And you can keep reloading that level again and again, and you can get, like, different results and stuff like that. We were basically transferring the bowl. The bowl aura is still present if you detonate it and then warp away, and as long as you don't bowl again, it is still present. So we basically just warped to SCDA Sponge Bowl to basically make it, because we're making the bowl travel from Planktopolis and Knucklehead. We basically warped to Sponge Bowl as if we set it up there when we actually didn't. It's just that the bowl is still active. So Shell City Deadhead Sponge Bowl to Knucklehead and then and then dying, inching our way to the pit and dying, corrupts Mindy's text boxes, and she is permanently disabled in this level. This would normally be a massive issue because you saw that Mindy kept, like, rewarding us tokens. Like, she needs to reward us tokens. This is the only sliding and driving objective in the literal entire game where she doesn't do that. Otherwise, the game would softlock at the end of this level and we'd be completely screwed. But luckily, we are incredibly lucky that any of this works, and that somebody even, like, coincidentally found this in the first, because we didn't know about bowl storage. Like, this got found before bowl storage was known about. There is more I could explain, there's more I could explain about the level I just played, but honestly, we gotta get to Neptune. Shoutouts to Resin for figuring out how it works. If my load count was on a multiple of 4 loads, it would have failed. That's one more thing to note. It would have failed on a multiple of 4 loads, but my load count is 46. I've been keeping track. But anyway, as for Neptune, this boss fight is very hard, but Phase 1 is the hardest of it. It is comparatively smooth sailing. I guitared at the very beginning of the level to make Neptune start attacking me sooner. And basically my objective is we gotta flip the tables, and then we gotta, like, deflect Neptune's shot off of Krabs when he enters his first-person phase. And then it'll confuse him. And then we hit him with an upgraded guitar, but I delayed upgrading. Unupgraded guitar has a shorter animation than upgraded guitar, so I delayed it as long as possible, but you really want upgraded guitar because it does more damage to Neptune, so I upgraded it as late as possible. Do need to be wary of the inevitable lag spike in this level, though, as has already occurred. But yeah, my main thing that I'm looking for is to not waste time. Neptune will not start his first-person phase until you're in a grounded state, and I almost got hit there, and I just wasted some time, that's okay. So each wasted shot, as you just saw, loses like 2 seconds. So my objective is to try and make it to Krabs before Neptune can do his first shot. But the other thing I'm doing, you're supposed to hide behind Krabs. By spinning, or you can jump to dodge the attack, but I spin. If you spin at the right time, Neptune's attack will basically pierce through you, which then means that he's dizzy as normal, but you are closer to him, which then means that you can guitar sooner. Well, you can guitar at the same time, but you have to make the guitar, like, travel less distance to hit him. And again, it's from now on, like, the boss fight is easier because we don't have to deal with, like, the flame. It's pretty lenient now. You can do manips if you want to make this even easier, like, watch now. Just for demonstration. I don't normally play this safe, but just for demonstration purposes. you are definitely going to want to pay attention to Phase 3. I'm going to tell you how to make Phase 3 way easier than you used to, and it's probably not from the method that you're expecting. It is not standing on the floorboard like you can for Phase 1 and 2 as a backup. The actual thing you want to do is bash the spitters. I promise you, try this at home, I promise you, this is easier. You can do it to the laser cycle to make it easy. I almost just got hit. Getting hit loses a lot of time, don't want to get hit. But this makes it a lot easier because it makes platforming 2 crabs easier. And then there's no chance for the spitters to hit you. There is a Phase 3 exclusive strat called Sam Strat where you pan the camera down here. It doesn't work in Phase 2 or Phase 1. You can only do it in Phase 3. Because as you can see, like, as you saw, Neptune's laser attack is more basic. It was going in 2 directions, but now it's only going in 1. If you pan the camera down, like, this laser disappears, but not the other one, which is why we couldn't do it on Phase 2. So that allows you to then, like, chill by crap, but obviously it wouldn't work well if we had to deal with the spitters. And if you want, you can also upgrade spin to deflect the spitter shots, but we don't need to do that. Time ends on the final hit of Neptune, so it's coming up in a few seconds. Let's see what time I get. Time. I don't know if floating block caused the end of 59 or if it was going to be the end. I don't know how much I lost. But yeah, that is the run, and we completed it with 43 tokens when normally, any percent-wise, well, how it's supposed to be a minimum of 52. But that is for no major glitches. Here we're doing a pretty major glitch. So, yeah, I don't think there's much, like, there's not much point in going into more detail about bowl storage. It is the only bowl storage time save that we have. There would be another one, but it takes too long to set up. Because we can theoretically shift bowl storage corruption, like, infinitely, but yeah. That's the run. Hope you enjoyed it. And also enjoy this cutscene. It is incredibly well made. I think like 99% of the budget went to this cutscene alone. It's really good. Never mind. Never mind. That's all stock images and stuff. But yeah, I guess I can go out of commentary mode now. There's probably some stuff I forgot to mention. Like I forgot to mention like the lag reduction in no cheese for ages. This shit, like for no cheese and depression, there is so much to say, and then by the time you're done explaining it, you gotta do sandwich out of bounds, and then by the time you're done explaining that, then you gotta do bash boosting. It's just, yeah, weenie is when it gets like more chill, but yeah, there was still moments where I was like, I just don't have time to explain like some stuff that's happening in Plank and bowl storage. Like middle door, who even cares, bro? But yeah, the run itself, like I can't believe I got bulldozer. That was actually sick. And of course I had to play a safe in 3K, but this run was like incredibly good for like no reset standards. Like the only things I practiced were guest jumps and fast corkscrew, which did go well in the run to be fair. But it was literally just for the tutorial. I otherwise wouldn't have practiced them. But that went incredibly fucking well. And then this happened and I got fucked. Really unfortunate, dude. I lost so much, and I feel like that. Actually, no, that didn't single-handedly. No, I think I would have lost 59 anyway. What else did I lose time to? Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, what was this? Oh, wait, no, this is Rock Slide. Yeah, Rock Slide made it, like, pretty much kill 59. I would have had to play out of my mind. This actually killed it. Like, I lost, like 40, nearly 40 seconds. So it didn't kill it, but it almost killed it. Luckily, well, Sunday was mid as hell, and then Guess was bad. And then Dennis 2 was a little below average, but I got insane Guess jumps, like the Plank 2 was, the Plank was very good. And then Knucklehead was really good, and Neptune was like, nah. Actually, no, Neptune was straight up bad, but yeah. I was hoping for a 59, but I knew that was incredibly unlikely. But I was just on copium because I was on a really good pace until Rock Slide. It really sucks I keep missing Rock Slide, dude. Like, that's the big thing. If I miss Rock Slide skip, like, it's not over, obviously, but, like, in a marathon setting, in a no reset setting, that is really bad. That is, like, That's way worse than, like, missing fast corkscrew, or failing sandwich out of bounds, or missing guest jumps, like, 3 times in a row. Like, that is worse than all of that, because we're bringing back then... You have to be like, oh, you have to hype up the trick, miss it, and then, especially if you got the good miss a couple times and then the bad miss, like, oh my god. And then the replacement isn't even a unique thing. It's a thing that's basically identical to what we've already done. It is so vital that, like, the good miss, honestly, I shouldn't even be complaining that I got the good miss, but... Yeah. The bad miss, like, honestly, I was thinking to myself that if I got the bad miss, I might unironically, like, stop recording, like, that's how big of a deal it is. But yeah, I think, so, yeah, +7, and then I lost, like, 32.5 from Rockslide. So, 32.5 from Rockslide, and then I lost... Oh, no, I lost more than 40. Wait, no, 50... Yeah, 55, 105, 115, 125. Yeah, I lost 4... Yeah, okay, floating block cost me 59. That's annoying. So let's just say I lost, like... Let's round down a bit and say I lost 45. So just from those two alone, I lost, a minute 17.5. So this would have been, like... a minute, yeah, so I would have, again, let's just round down again, make it more pessimistic and say that I lost 33 seconds outside of that. Which, keep in mind, one part of it was literally the second token death, but yeah, that means that if I lost 33 seconds... Then that means it would have been like 59-29, which I know it's easy to say, like, oh, if this didn't happen, but wow, like 59-29, like, I wish, bro. I wish I got 59.999999. But anyway, that's the video. I think you can tell that I've ran out of ideas. The fact that I'm doing this when I already did it before, and the run is, like, structurally the same except for Rockslide. But yeah, I mean, this was a better run, though. Like, that run was, like, 102... Wasn't it, like, 102.26 or something? Even without Rockslide skip, this would have been, like... Well, like, 101 4x, or like, 101, like, 3x. Like, that's still, like, quite a bit better. Like, this is a much better run than that one. It was good for longer as well. But, yeah. That's it. That's the video, so thank you and goodbye.